My friends once unintentionally traumatized a burglar, and the whole situation ended up so absurdly funny that nobody got in trouble for it. Back when I was studying at Ravenwood College, I hosted an end-of-year party at my rented house. At one point, I suddenly felt sick, and since both bathrooms were occupied, I dashed outside and threw up in the hedges. When I finally lifted my head, I noticed the window of my neighbor's place, Evan's house, was wide open. That was strange, because Evan was at my party, and he lived alone. Curious, and still a bit dazed, I walked over, peeked inside, and saw a man I had never seen before stuffing valuables into a duffel bag. It took my foggy brain a few seconds to process it, but once it clicked, I sprinted back upstairs, yelling that someone was robbing the house next door. A couple of the girls immediately called the police, but the guys had already armed themselves with whatever they could find. Brooms, a mop, even a roll of duct tape, and charged across the yard. The thief spotted them, panicked, and tried to climb out the same window he came through. Too late. The group of drunk college guys piled on him, swinging brooms and shouting like it was some medieval reenactment. The poor guy froze, absolutely horrified. Then the guy with the duct tape arrived, saw the situation, and without hesitation started wrapping the burglar's wrists and ankles. I have no idea why the burglar didn't fight back. Maybe shock, maybe fear, but he just let it happen. Someone brought out an enormous trash bag, and before I knew it, they had him inside it, taped shut with his head sticking out like a bizarre holiday decoration. He begged us to let him go, promising he'd never return. The police still hadn't shown up, and one of the guys suggested getting extra supplies to tie him down better. At this point, he already resembled a human cocoon, but off they went to the closest discount store. They came back 10 minutes later with no rubber bands, but a giant coil of rope. I checked inside to make sure everyone was okay and asked when the police were expected. When I returned outside, I found the burglar hanging upside down from a lamppost, tied up like some kind of carnival attraction. Everyone was still drunk, and the police response time was miserably slow. By the time the officers finally arrived, about 15 minutes later, we had dragged the speakers outside and were dancing around the human caterpillar. Someone even tried offering him beer, but he obviously couldn't drink it upside down. A few neighbors came out intending to complain about the noise, but once they saw the bound burglar and we explained the situation, they burst out laughing and thanked us for catching him. When the officers approached, they tried really hard to look serious, but we could see them struggling not to smile. Apparently, they had been trying to track this guy down for weeks and couldn't believe this was how his spree ended. They weren't angry at us. We were all 18. Nobody had injured him, and we had technically done their job for them. The best part was when they finally cut him loose from the pole, loaded him into the cruiser, and drove off with him still wrapped in the makeshift caterpillar suit.